Hey, what's up, R2R fam? Today's episode is sponsored by Absolute Comfort and Son LLC. So if you are in the York, Lancaster, or Hanover area in Pennsylvania and you have any heating or cooling needs, Absolute Comfort and Son LLC is the way to go. Check out the link in the description below so that you can sign up and get your free consultation today. Now, here is Mike Haney, owner and operator, sharing with you one of the many services that they offer.
So we have our new updated furnace from Tempstar ICP. This is an RFI reader. So we have no power. You guys can see we are out here in the midst. My boy's chilling on the back, Rocky. Don't forget to call him for maintenance. So all you have to do, no power to it. The RFI scanner scans it. And we can set the furnace up successful. So at this point, when we do your load calculation for your house, we can set up all your parameters with it not even powered to everything you need in your house. Better airflow, the rooms aren't getting hot. We can adjust the fan speed out here. All the stuff that you guys tell us, hey Mike, this is my problem when I come to the sales call or our initial meeting, we're taking care of it right here, right now. It sets up everything. And what it also does is gives our customers 1 free year of this setup system. So if they have a problem, hey Mike, I have a problem. It's Thanksgiving morning and we have 100 people coming over. I can get right on my phone with your permission, with a code. I can fix it from my house. So no service fee. It's a free charge or a free service. So everything's set up there. There's a brand new furnace, model, serial, everything. They'll give us error codes and all that. So this is some awesome stuff. It's great technology. All right, Tempstar, let's keep getting it.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another Road to Results podcast where we're all about uncovering the mindset journey. I'm Rhy, that's Ray, and I'm Rhy. Either way you slice that pie. Welcome to episode number 28, y'all. Yes, 28. We thank you for all of you who are on the live YouTube or Facebook channel. Thank you for your patience. We are here again in real time showing you how we get down with the get down. So what's going on, Ray? How you been, my bro?
Bro, if you can't tell, man, I know we was having some technical difficulties. I finally got the right lens. Now we got to get the settings right. So I might be a little bright today, but that is okay. But man, it's been a busy, productive morning moving the needle, man. Dropped the daughter off at school. Had another closing this morning. Had a closing last night. Had a closing this morning. Then you had to go to the bank and then another bank and then drop on my handyman spot, pay him out for something. Come here, send off some paperwork for another closing next week, and then also get everything set up before we start traveling and training tomorrow and this weekend. So yeah, we run and got another hard stop today.
Come on! Did y'all hear that, y'all? Are you hearing that, Ray?
Sounds like work.
Well, it's a cash register, y'all. That was Ray closing after closing after closing after closing. Now, blessings, aka blessings after blessings after blessings after blessings, aka he is reaping, right? He is reaping what he's sowing. And I love the fact that, again, as you're talking about, so Ray and I, we have the same exact camera setup. And we wanted to make sure that we were both looking as crispy and clean as possible. He just got his lens today. So life lesson, right? Life lessons. Number one, you could have the same gear as someone else. Number two, you can have it set up exactly or close to the same, but now we're in the settings phase. And so I love using this analogy because it's the process. Like, you already have, number one, you were brought into this world. Number two, God already put into you everything that he needed you to have. And now it's about just making those adjustments, just adjusting those settings. Right. And I love that analogy because when we think about our setting, what setting or what environment are we in? And are our settings set up for a successful future or not? Right. So again, I just pulling that out, freestyle off the top of the dome, because you know how your boy gets down. But yeah, no, that's blessings, bro. I'm always loving hearing your stories. You're sharing your real-time results with me and Danielle and just, the community. So it is here just to say, look, y'all, we are doing what we can to continue to be the best demonstrators, the best examples. Not perfect. All right. Not perfect, because we got our ups and our downs. Now, I'll say this time and time again, when we hear it in the scriptures, When we think about the word perfect, we can't think of it in a flawless, undefeated sense, but we do strive for perfection because in the Hebrew sense, perfect actually means complete. So when we're trying to be perfect like Jesus, we're trying to be complete. All right. So I just want to feel, so if you ever hear me say that, like, oh man, I'm striving for perfection. I am, but not like the flawless, undefeated type of perfection that the world would think, but more of the Jesus Hebrew version of, yeah, I'm striving to be complete. I am
There we
striving to
go.
be
There we go.
complete. So, but yeah, you are looking crispy, bro. I mean, you're a little bright. We could do something in the post, but the sun is shining. The sun is shining out there, which is a good thing because it is again a representation of your light and the light of Christ. But anyhow, y'all, yeah, bro, you definitely could tell the difference with the new lens. It is looking crispy and clean.
Now, now I just got to figure out what one sis is the echo. So there, I think I had it on the while we were messing with some stuff. I unclicked this mic and had the computer mic. So are we good? Are we good? Are we rolling? But nah, man, it's just like we start making the adjustments. Now I'm like, okay, you said same gear, same stuff. Now I'm like, okay, how do I look at this? Because I want to look at you, but the camera's here, but you're here, and I'm like, like. Now this is a whole different thing. We'll work in. Then I got my other laptop over here so I can engage with the family that's on live. We'll get this structure. But hey, like in the beginning, when we first started juggling names, you said in real time with Ryan Ray. That was one of the proposed names that we was working on in real time. So you're gonna get all this crispiness. I'm not even gonna call it ugliness. This is crispiness, whether you want them or not. I don't care if you order soft tacos. You getting crispy. You getting crispy.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, no, it's crazy. So yeah, we're documenting the mastermind under the leadership of Dr. Eric Thomas, aka ET, the hip hop preacher, and associates. And I will say, the heat is on, y'all. The heat is on. Shout out to T Brock. Yeah, the heat is on, and what we mean is here in the fourth quarter of the year, and it's actually the third quarter of the mastermind, because we started it in the second quarter. When we talk about heat and pressure, like E is on, like we call it diamond season right now. Diamond season. Y'all know his analogy, come to make a diamond, heat, pressure, and cut, right? You got to have heat, got to have pressure, and you got to have that. You got to get cut. And so you can be unbreakable, so you can be flawless, so you can, go to get through it all. And I'm just thinking about lately the coaching. Everybody has been stepping up. Everybody's been stepping up. And it's to this point where he was mentioning, one of our last calls, he was like, look, my track record, my stats are up there. He's like, I'm 20-0 when it comes to my marriages. Why? Because I accompany those I walk with, because I'm there. And E has been there. Accountability calls, Sunday calls. I mean, I'm telling you, over deliver is probably the best way I would describe the mastermind experience in this season, the cohort 1, cohort 2, because not only are people able to reach out to him through text, voice text, phone calls, FaceTimes, he's reaching out to us. And so to have that level of access, but for him, it's not because he feels like he has to, but he's like, this is his name. And so the pressure that, and again, it's a good pressure for everyone to succeed. So wherever you are, and again, so the takeaway for me is, who is in your community, who is in your circle, in your partnerships, in your business, who is applying that pressure? Or where is there even any pressure, or are you in that complacency?
Yeah.
Or are you just being complacent?
Yeah. Yeah, man. And it's, you say that, it's diamond season. We talk about pressure. And the biggest thing, too, is like, not only are you going to get cut to be a diamond, to be the right diamond, because there's different type of cuts. But once you are a diamond, you can actually cut other things. You can cut others. And the biggest piece right there, man, is like, we're always talking about don't miss the business model. Don't miss the move. Don't miss the moves and the adjustments that he's making. So even for those that are in the mastermind, don't miss the fact that what E is doing is he's making adjustments in the thing that he's created. So people care about the things that they cultivate. They care about the things that they have saying, the things that you're building. So when you're wondering why other people, and I'm not saying people in the mastermind don't care, but I'm going to guarantee every single one of us don't care as much as he does.
Yeah.
Because it is like you said, it's his name, it's his record, his track record, it's his product. The mastermind is his product, and we are part of that production.
Yeah.
You have to care about the things that you're cultivating. So like what we're doing here, even making these small adjustments and making financial investments. I mean, y'all, I don't know, I don't do media, any of that stuff, but this lens, like just this lens that I ordered I was like, I thought I ordered a lens, and that thing, I mean, it's not, I'm sure if those of you that are in photography and videography and all that stuff, but I mean, this thing was like $5. I was like, it's for a lens.
All right, so for the record, y'all, he has a Sigma 16 1.4 35 millimeter, which is one of the standards that go with a Sony A6400. So, yeah.
You see, and he said the Sony A6400. Even that, like I was like, bro, what am I ordering? He's like, this camera, is this one? He said, yeah. I probably sent it to me like 3 or 4 times when we first started this thing. And then I had like the wrong link. But I mean, either way, it's like you care about the things you cultivate. The R2R podcast, the Road to Results podcast, the Uncovering the Mindset Journey. This is part of that mindset that you have to understand, that if you are growing and you are building a business, a product, a community, don't expect others to care as much as you do when it's the thing that you're cultivating.
Come on, catch
You're
that,
the person that's going to care the most. And you're the one that's going to cultivate it. So when you're looking for confirmation from other people that are not in the driver's seat or the creator seat of what you're doing, they're not going to care as much. And that's okay, because that's part of it. But as long as you continue to care, as long as you continue to cultivate, the results are going to change. But there's always an adjustment by the person that's making. So when you have coaches and you have whatever it is, you have mentors, they're always going to be caring more than you do, and they're always going to make an adjustment. So don't trip when you see like, hey, why are they switching up? Also, so we've always been doing this. Yeah. And if they see that it's always been doing this, the thing that they had in mind, the end state or the product or the results they wanted for you, they don't see it happening in the way that they envisioned it, or they see it going in a direction that is not beneficial to anybody involved. So adjustments must be made. So don't get offended. Make the adjustments and understand this is not what you envisioned, and it's not moving in the direction that they envisioned. So they're making the adjustments so that you get the most benefits out of it as possible. So diamond season, he's adding the pressure so that you get cut into the right diamond. There are diamonds that are more valuable than other diamonds. And typically it's the cut.
That's it. Because, you got your round, you got your brilliant, or is it maybe that is round, brilliant, princess cut, all the different cuts out there.
I know that fact, but I just know cubic zirconia are real. Is that fake or is that real?
So the question is, right, for that, again, it's just more of an internal question for you, is if you are not where you want to be in this quarter of the year, when it came to your goals, when it came to all the targets you set, ask yourself, was it because there was a lack of pressure? And if so, why? Right? Was it because you were too comfortable to let go? Was it because you had too much pride and you just kept holding on to this thing that you loved and you built? When really, I think a lot of people struggle with, they think they're letting it go, but what they're actually letting, and see, here's the mindset I have now, is like, with all the work I'm doing, I'm not letting it go. I'm letting it breathe. I'm letting it breathe so I can let it grow. Right? So like, think of that, the frame there. I'm not letting it go. I'm letting it breathe so that it could grow. But most people, because it's their idea, because they started it, because it was all them when no one else was around, it's like, well, guess what? It's going to just still be you, and it's still going to just be whatever it is you're doing if you don't allow for good support to come in, if you don't surround yourselves with the people who are going to add just the right amount of pressure, give you just the right amount of insight, and then most importantly, be around the people who are also getting their results in their own lane. So every time Ray comes, like, yo, bro, we got this closing, I always ask him, because like I said in the last pod that just dropped yesterday, I love learning the language, so that the conversations I have with him and Danielle, like, I can get on the real estate tip, even though it's not my lane, but I just love being able to understand the language. And then so as he's getting his results, guess what it does for me as a flight attendant? It's giving me energy, right? It's not even my sale. It's not even my deal, but my bro is making it. He's getting results. So if we don't feed off of the results from the people around us in our community, and not only just genuinely are excited for them and want to celebrate them, if that doesn't even fire you up to do what you need to do, then you got to find a different community. You got to find a different circle.
Yeah. And you know what? I think when you're saying like that piece, as far as people didn't move in the direction that they wanted to move, you know, whether it was because they were facing pressure or whatever it is, man, I think a lot of times some people, and I have this conversation just with me. And, you know, we know I grew a real estate portfolio pretty quickly compared to what some would call the norm. But when you scale anything quickly, man, like the cash, you can call it the cash, like the cash is crazy. Like what you get. When you say it's crazy, it's that you see it and then it's gone. You see it and then it's gone. So a lot of times when people have a vision of a business growing, they're like, yo, They have, again, we talk about it, you know, that's the lowest hanging fruit. That's low hanging fruit, the financials. Like that's the low hanging fruit. The vision isn't right now for what the pocket is. The vision is for what the pocket's going to be in 5-10 years from now. So we even talked about it yesterday. I was like, bro, and I sent you, you know, I had to FaceTime you because that was just funny to me. You know, just for the fam, like the market has shifted. So when you understand, this is why I say it's so important to learn the language. When the market has shifted, people are like, oh, it's not a good time to get in real estate. I'm gonna let you know it's always a good time to get in real estate. And I'll continue to say that I don't enjoy it. But if you understand the language and you learn the business, you learn the model. I'm not saying over analyze everything, but you understand enough where you can get creative. Hey, the jab ain't working anymore. The jab ain't working. Or this dude's just eating him. He's taking him to the chin. Let's work the body. And if you're working the body, he's got a solid midsection. Hey, let's start hitting them. Let's start hitting them ribs. Like you got to understand that there's a different way to attack whatever it is you're trying to get after. So I shifted my strategy in the market to get creative. And someone gave me a down payment yesterday for the closing that I had. And it should have been a wire transfer, but this dude gave me a little less than half of it in straight cash. So I left from the site and I had a call. I was like, bro, are you busy? Like he was just leaving. And this, again, we think concept time. Like when you say you want more, I hit up Rhy. He's just leaving. Let's not miss this either. He is just leaving. What were you doing, brother? You were doing
confirmation class. Yep. Every Wednesday at the
confirmation
church.
Class Wednesday. I was leaving a closing, and Rhy, where was I heading?
Headed to church. Heading
to midweek service to church. But I'm driving to midweek service and hey y'all, so I still have a little bit.
Nah, this dude FaceTimed me, right? He showed me his he showed me his stacks. And I said, this is the first thing I said though. See, coming from where I come from, Bay Area, Northern California, first thing I said was, bro, is anybody tailing you? Bro, you better check that rear view mirror because but then of course he's not gonna get his property because you still have it until he finishes the deposit. But in my mind, right, the mindset was like, yo, this dude just gave you a whole bunch of cash. Better check the rear views, see who's following you.
Bruh, hey, you best be. I was looking over, looking under, man. I was supposed to have another stop because it's not all great. Like I had somebody else, like the creative finance. So I'm doing like seller financing, wrap deals, sub twos, owner financing, however you want to categorize that. You could look it up. We're not gonna talk about it. But someone else had like buyer's remorse. And the person that had buyer's remorse, like I had worked with them enough to where like the typical down payment I'm asking for, they couldn't do it. But I was like, yo, I'm gonna work with you guys, you and the wife, and they had buyer's remorse. Like, we want our money back. They got someone else's ear, and someone's like Ray's impersonating a realtor. I was okay, because you obviously don't understand the language. One, you don't qualify for a loan. Two, or whatever. So I was supposed to go give them, and I was like, yo, cool, we can terminate this because I'm gonna get someone that's gonna give me the actual down payment that I wanted.
There you go.
But it's the people that actually give the less that want the most from you.
Man, that's facts.
Bruh, yeah. But I was like, okay. I hit them up like, well, I'm not stopping anywhere. I'm going straight to church. I had to put a jacket on. I'm in church with like, I got like the inside pocket of my jacket, bruh. It's still like 90-something degrees outside. I got my coat on, and I had 22 stacks in my pocket at church. Hey, praise and worship. Try not to.
Pastor would have looked at you and be like, time to tithe.
Hey, we just want to take a stop mid-song and pass the collection plate around. Row 3, seat 2. Let's start there. and let's just stay there for a minute. Let's just see
Funny.
what the Holy Spirit does here today.
Oh, man.
But yeah, no. So it's just like, the work, making the adjustments, being creative, understand, like, if you're in it, like, you have to care. Again, I always tell people, I don't like real estate. I don't even say I don't like it. I just don't enjoy it. But it doesn't mean enjoying isn't a requirement for getting it done. And I know what I want to get done. I know what I want to help. T Brock, Travis, my brother out there, he's invested in me. Him and his business really invested in me. So when it comes in, I know that people are believing in me and trusting in me and putting pressure. It's good pressure. It's positive peer pressure that I need to make sure that I continue to move the needle. I continue to grow, because it stretches me to operate in a different space that I have not been doing for the past 4 years. But when I start doing that, and I'm like, okay, closing yesterday in that model, then I have a traditional sale that I closed on this morning at 8:30. I got another one that I'm closing on when we get back on Tuesday, flying out to Atlanta tomorrow, doing extreme execution coaching at a company tomorrow morning. Bro, it's like, hey, Rhy. And we hear this all the time. Hey, it must be nice. It must be nice. Ryan, we've got a hard stop here at 1 Eastern time, because I got to jump on another Zoom call for a conference planning committee Zoom call that's happening in December. And then I got a hard stop at 1 because I got a coaching call immediately after that. Like,
Yeah.
what do y'all think? What is pressure? What is pressure?
That's it.
And did it not work earlier this year because you thought, when you decided to do this, that it would be exciting the whole time, because you made that initial commitment?
Yep.
You made that New Year's resolution. You're like, I'm going to lose this weight. I'm going to start this business. I'm going to cut these relationships. And when the actual pressure started to hit, you saw that as, I guess I'm not supposed to be doing this. You saw it as an obstacle instead of an opportunity.
That part.
You have to flip the lens. You got to get a different lens.
You got to get a different lens. And so before we even move on, because I know you're going to keep taking that to other places, I want to say two things. Number one, shout out to T.
I get
Brock.
distracted.
Shout out to T. Brock, future billionaire. I'm calling it right now, Travis, future billionaire. I hear you. I hear you in accountability calls, and we believe in you 1,000%. But the word that you just used, which is what I want all of us to think about, which is what E talked about actually on Sunday, was the word that you used was creative. All right, creative. You got creative. You're in the real estate industry. There are plenty of ways to make money in real estate. You just have to be creative. And E mentioned last Sunday about taking your product, taking your service. If it's not moving, if there's no momentum, get creative with it. And he used a gift card analogy. He said, make it so simple that it's like gift cards. People buy gift cards, but they don't always use them. Or people receive gift cards and they don't always use them right away, but they still buy them. Why? Because they want to give a gift. They want, especially during the holidays, birthdays, whatever it might be. So he was like, can you be creative enough to figure out how to take your product, how to take your service and make a gift card version of it so people will buy it? And here's the key. He said, don't worry about if people use it. You just want them to buy it right now. At some point, they'll use it, he said, because a lot of us are so focused on that end product and making sure that we give the best value and that the customers feel good, the clients feel fulfilled, right? Like he was like, and that's okay. But if that's your only focus and you have zero sales or your sales are slow, we need to figure out how to make your product, your service, market it in a very creative way. So key thing, y'all, catch this. He's not saying, and Ray is not saying, just change the whole industry and leave your industry. Good luck, Chuck. No, he's still in the same industry. I'm still in the same industry. So for me, I'm actually brainstorming some ideas with some folks, some parents and some teachers that I work with at the schools in terms of how can I package the flight assessment, my self-awareness program, so that we can actually make it so that they might buy them for family members, for kids, so that we're learning how to package it where I'm like, I want someone to take the assessment. I want to take the orientation, the coaching, and I want to change their lives. True. But at the same token, are you moving it? Are you getting awareness around it? Are you marketing your property? So are you being creative with how you're positioning your product or your service? So if you are stuck, two things, get creative. All right, within the lane that you're in. So that means you might have to swallow that pride and talk to people, right? Like have the conversations, be open to new things, open to new ideas. And number two, go to the R2R Summit.
There it
Go
is.
to
There
the
it is.
R2R Summit, October 18th,
I'm gonna flip
19th.
that. Hey, first go to the R2R Summit, then you could talk to people, and we will be those people.
That's it. No, that's real. And so yeah. So I think that's something that a lot of people get stuck with, is that whole idea of like, okay, I've been doing this, it's not working, I'm giving it my all, which is great. Okay, so obviously we learned the data says that way is not working. So let's get creative. Let's make the adjustments. Let's try something new out of our comfort zone, because obviously what we're doing isn't working the way we hoped it to work. Now, it doesn't mean that it won't work. You could probably go back to that strategy once you have momentum. But you just said the word creative, and I'm loving the way I'm seeing you move through it, because you went from Airbnbs to some wholesaling to some hard money lending to now seller financing, right? All the different ways that you're being creative. And for the record, y'all, this is something where him and I talk, because I've heard things too about seller financing, how it doesn't necessarily always benefit the buyer. Most of the time it's the seller. And you were straight up with me about like, yo, this is what it is. If done improperly, yes, then most of the time people who are on the buyer side probably won't get the best part of the deal. But you told me the other day, like, but my goal is for them to actually really follow through and get the property. I really want them to really make this deal what they want it to be. But 9 times out of 10, like Danielle said too, a lot of the times they end up defaulting, which again is always going to benefit the owner in any situation. Apartment complexes, rental units, right? So I love the character that you have. So for those of you going to Breaking Formation or Learning Language series, get there, because that's where you can get all those questions answered. Because Ray does a great job at that. So shout out to you, bro.
Yeah. Nah, man, I love that. I love that you said, because bro, it's everything. It's everything. So you look at, like you said, packaging the assessment, work with parents to sell with families, and the whole. I love the gift card analogy or the usage, because a lot of times people buy a gift card because they don't want to be creative. So think about the product itself. The product solves the problem of me trying to figure out what it is that you want. I don't have to. I'd be creative. I'm just going to give you what you can go get what you want. So you're like, okay, I'm going to package my assessment because people want people want their family to take it and adjust and grow through that piece. But I don't have to go talk to the family. They can buy it and then they can do that thing. Like, think about it. The gift card is so, you're like, no, I'm just going to get them a gift card. Is it because you honestly want to get them a gift card, or because you don't know what they want and you really don't even want to ask them what they want because you don't want to overcomplicate it and have to go find the thing, like put the energy, time, effort, all that stuff behind it? It's like, like I don't even let them make the decision. We talking about decision making. I'm gonna get the gift card. They can make the decision on what they want. They can go buy something, and then they get it. And like you said, it ends up sitting in a drawer somewhere for 6 months, a year and a half.
Bro, Danielle, we just saw. Hey, we just found some Baskin Robbins gift certificates, bro. They're like $2 gift certificates. Some Regal Cinema tickets from when we were in California. Bruh. We were just going through the stuff. But again, someone bought it or we bought it. Someone got paid off of it, whether we use it or not. Yeah. So again, and E's analogy was like, it's not about fake news, right? We're not selling fake stuff. We're not selling something that's not there. I mean, if someone purchases a service or a product, then give them what they wanted. Like, but if you have it in a form where they can use it now, or they can use it later, or they can gift it to other people. So my mindset was like, oh, what? Because I always do these one-on-one assessments. And they go, oh, only if my husband or my kids did this. And so I said, oh, okay. So my mom, like, boom, there it is. Buy it for your family. Yeah. And they can use it when they're ready.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I have a system in the back end that's already set up for when they're ready, they'll get the assessment, they can go to an orientation. But instead of me, pitching it to one person for them to do it, it's like, hey, do you have people in your family that you really want them to help them understand themselves more, so that you can be a more cohesive unit? Or do you have kids because you're so familiar with the assessment that you think they're a flight attendant or a pilot and are just curious on where their scores are. Now, for the record, when we do this with children, if they're under 8th grade, usually 7th grade and below, we try not to give them the results of the assessment because we don't want to box them in, because personalities are always changing. But we can use it. We can use it with younger kids just so that we can get an idea of their current style. So when I work with educators and teachers, they start noticing who their flight attendants are, who their pilots, who their air traffic controller, who the ground crew children are in their class. And then they start connecting with them and engaging with them on a whole different way. So I said, okay, what if we took this model and put it on the family side? And then, of course, the parents are going to be like, okay, well, how do we work with our children in that way? Coaching, parent coaching. Here's what I got. You could just purchase it now. Gift card. Gift card.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, I think it was just a creative way to market your services because you believe in it. And just making sure that you're going to honor your end of it, which is not a problem, but also creating the awareness around it all. So, yeah, man, it's been crazy. So check it out. Did you want to add anything to that before we get to this one question that was asked in a previous podcast, and maybe we can get to it real quick before we end?
No. I mean, I think, just I say no all the time. Then I'm like, no. I just remember, the creative, like we talk about this before all the time. People pay people to solve problems. A gift card solves a problem for the buyer, not necessarily the person that receives the gift card. Or maybe it does, because maybe people keep buying them stuff that they don't want. Same thing with me doing the seller finance. The market is slow. It's not a good time to get in real estate. Nobody's buying houses. People still need houses. So how do you get creative to still provide that product? Think about the problem that it is solving. Always be there. Think about the problem that it's solving. Solutions oriented. Always focus on the solution. Focus on the solution, and you can always be creative. Just because someone said this is the way to get to that solution doesn't necessarily mean that's the only way. That's just their preferred way. Or brother, that is their preferred style.
It's that preference.
That preference.
Come on.
Okay, that is always their preference. And just because you agree with their preference and you may prefer that preference, doesn't mean it's the only preference available.
That's it.
So get creative. Focus on solving the problem. Grow your business. Scale your business. Travis is in here. He's going from being a top producer as far as an adjuster to actually coaching people to do that so that they become financially stable and wealthy, and then he's going to continue to grow. It's like, be creative, make the adjustment.
That's it.
It's going to work. But yeah, let's get to this question because I do got to cut here.
Yeah, for sure. And then if you are someone watching this podcast, you're like, you have no idea what we're talking about, personality styles, preference, flight assessment, discoveryourdis.com. I already got some specials coming up. Stay tuned. Hey, I'm telling you, it's gonna be amazing. It's Black Friday. Watch out for Black Friday because a lot of stuff's happening coming up this quarter. So here is the question from Janine from the Netherlands. And I remember she asked this a while ago, but we didn't have enough time to get to the question. And it's I hear everybody saying, God put this on my heart. How do you know the difference in God's calling or your own? How do you know the difference between God's calling and putting it on your heart or your own?
Go ahead, bro.
You want me to kick that one off? All right. So first, let's just make sure that, before I even jump into this answer, like this is definitely a very open and even could be a considered loaded question, but I'm going to just keep it as simple as possible. And so there's a couple things when we think about what God puts on our heart, or when you hear people say what God told or spoke to me. Now, I'm not in the business of saying, no, he didn't, or yes, he did, because that's not who I am. And that's just it's not right. Because we got to understand there's two things here. There's public revelation and there's private revelation. So the last of the public revelation of God revealing himself to people, that was all in the Bible. That was public revelation. So after that, it doesn't mean that God stopped revealing himself. But what he did was he started revealing himself privately. So all of the ways that people are hearing God, experiencing God, encountering God, right, are all considered private revelations, meaning God revealed himself to you privately. Now, the question here is, so how do I know that's really God or not? And that's where discernment is really important. Understanding what discernment is. So I don't want to go deep into what discernment is. So Janine or anyone listening, definitely look into what is discernment. Number one, because I think there's that idea of faith and reason. So we have to have a good, healthy balance of both. Because sometimes, especially for those folks, again, when Danielle and I worked at Napa State Hospital and we were working with people who are mentally ill, perfect example, we were students. And I'm walking in the halls, never been in a mental institution in my life, especially with adults. And there was a patient. He was like, I am the Messiah. I'm the chosen one. I am, he was saying all this stuff. I'm the Messiah, right? He was yelling at the top of his lungs. And then all of a sudden, the patient came up to me and said, do you see what he's saying? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, how could he be me? Bro, I said, let me in the office, bro. I was scared. I was like, what? So I went into the office. But all this to say is that I don't know what they're hearing or what they're not hearing. Right. So we got to be careful that, like, sometimes even in the mental illness aspect of it, there could or could not be revelation. So that's where discernment comes in. That's where having a strong faith foundation comes in, because a lot of the time spiritual warfare is real. So I was just definitely look that up. That's a whole nother topic in itself. I always think of discernment, spiritual warfare, because again, our minds and our hearts can easily be deceived one way or the other, which means that we can easily think, oh, that was God telling me that. Right? There's battle ready. Put on the armor. All right, put on the armor.
Spiritual warfare.
So for me, when I hear questions like that, I'm always in the space of, I'm not going to doubt or deny that God privately revealed himself to the person who's sharing. But before I would ever say anything like that, for me, it has to be time tested. So for example, this podcast, I told Ray that I had this dream that God was telling me we need to do a podcast with Ray. Now, I didn't go out and tell the whole world. And then, but that was something I shared with him. And over time, through our prayer, through our discernment, through our taking actions. Now, obviously, we see this is God working, because now we're sharing him on our platform. Right. So again, but it took discernment. It took a little bit of faith, a little bit of reason. And then just really understanding that there's spiritual warfare out there. So sometimes it may feel like it, and it may seem like it, especially because of your circumstance and your situation, but it maybe isn't. And sometimes when there's the absence of God, that's actually the presence of him. Sometimes when God is actually absent is when he's really present. Meaning sometimes when we think this isn't of God, it probably really is. And sometimes when we think that it is of God because it feels good, it probably isn't. So, but that's where that discernment comes in. That's where that faith and that reason comes in. So Janine, I'm going to just continue to pray for you. Anyone who struggles with that, because even myself, I still struggle with that. I want to make sure my daily prayers and my time I spend with God, that I can really foster that relationship. And I think that would be the third part is, if your relationship with God is solid, your communication, your prayer, praying with him in the scripture, spending time with him, getting to know him there, in your daily walks, your clarity walks, you'll start knowing what is of God and what isn't. And then it'll show in your actions.
I love that last part, bro, because I want to say, let me just use this as an example. If there's a crowd of women and they're all yelling your name and Danielle's in that crowd and she yells your name, are you going to be able to hear her over everybody else?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because I just know her voice like that. Right?
Because of the time, the familiarity, the connection, the relationship. So when you hear people say, yo, oh, God just put this on my heart, it's received in some manner. The relationship there, how much time are you spending with him? And I know you shared that as far as Janine, like you just got a Bible, you're starting to study the word. Spend time with the word, spend time with him, spend time in prayer, just spend time. And over time, that's when discernment is received. That's when discernment is understood. But it only happens when you have a relationship. We're not checking the boxes. We're not checking the blocks. We're not doing steps 1 through 6. The relationship is there because you're always going to have, even as a child, they're going to recognize your voice over several other adults because of the time and what the relationship is. That's the biggest piece as far as when you say it was on my heart. And you hear Ryan and I, like you hear us saying a lot of time, but then again, we talk about exactly what we just mentioned, what the actions were yesterday. When I hit him up, bro, you busy? Where was he leaving? Where was I going? Last week, maybe the weekend before, my church had a conference. I'm there. And while I'm there, they mentioned that, hey, they still have some spots open. I thought it closed like back in June and I missed my chance. They had some spots going that opened back up because some people that are here in the military, they left unexpectedly. But for the church is hosting a trip to go to Israel next year. And I was like, oh, all right, I'm doing it. And for whatever reason, it was like in my head, I see you say it in your head, you said put it on my heart, but it was like, you should see if Elliot wants to go. And I was like, all right. And you mentioned Hebrew, the Hebrew earlier. What word did you use?
Perfect.
Okay.
Complete.
Perfect. So to be complete. So in the Hebrew, so we talk about put it on my heart. In the Hebrew, to listen is not just a passive word, but it's active. To listen means to obey. There is no word in the Hebrew for obey. Because to listen means to obey. So if you're hearing him and you're listening to God, because you have that discernment, just like you expect your kids to listen to the parent, listen to your father. You should see if Elliot wants to go. And I was like, that's random. Okay. So listen. I heard it. No one said it to me verbally, but I was like, okay, I heard it. It's on my mind. Walked over to Elliot. He's behind the AV. He does the AV stuff at our church. He's helped Ryan and I without some of our early episodes. I went up. I was like, bro, hey, you ever had any plans or you ever wanted to go to Israel? And he just looked at me. He was like, man, ever since I can remember, ever since I got saved. And he's like, that's like the one place I've always wanted to go. And I was like, well, you got your passport? And he's like, no. I'm like, get it. And he's like, oh, I've got this, I've got that. And I'm like, hey, don't care. Figure it out. Get your passport. I got you. So now me and Elliot will be going to Israel next year. But it's like, you see small things like that where you're like, oh, God spoke to me. Like just to listen and to obey. I've never spoken to him about that. I've never asked him about his feelings about it, his concerns about it. But the moment he said it, I was like, yeah, that was,
yep.
That's definitely the word.
Yeah. So let's add that. Let's add that into the last piece, right? Time. More and more time you spend in your prayers and the scriptures and your meditation, right? And the more time you are able to really know what God sounds like and it's distinct to you, then you'll get to that point in your life where, like, I know Ray and I are at that point in our life where it's like the older we get, the louder and louder God's voice is to us, because of the time that we're continuing to spend developing that relationship with God. And like one of my best friends always says, your relationship with God must be constantly developed. It's not I encountered him once and now we're good. No, it's work. And when you put that work in, you start hearing things, and then you can start discerning and using your faith and your reason, and then understanding the spiritual warfare. And then over time, you'll know what God is putting on your heart and not. So, all right, y'all. Thank you, Ray, for sharing the amazing news. I love that story, going to Israel. That's going to be beautiful. As always, family, we thank you for rocking with the Road to Results podcast. Just know that we are always here to serve. We are always here to pour out everything that was poured into us to each and every one of you. So if you have any questions, topics, comments, concerns, whatever, please be sure to drop them in the comment section here on the YouTube channel or in our private or in our, was that a revelation? In our public R2R Facebook group, Road 2 Results on Facebook. Join the community so that we can continue to grow with you. So like we always say, don't just go with us, but
grow with us.
us.
Let's get it. Love y'all. Appreciate
Love
you.
y'all.
Hey, we will
Take
be
care,
live
y'all.
again on Saturday. Time to be
Come on.
determined, but we'll be live in person
Come on.
collectively, holding
Yes.
hands, hugging and loving.
Let's
and hopefully
go.
we get some of our I
No,
don't
we're
know,
gonna have to
let's
get some of our R2R fam out there. We will
That's,
definitely.
hey,
have
that's exactly what I'm saying. Hey, we
R2R.
gotta get some of our fam out there.
R2R fam.
Will Mrs. Danielle Ramirez please bless the stage?
Oh man, that's a hard one. We'll
We don't
see.
need an answer. We don't need an answer. I'm just saying, maybe
All right, family.
quick.
We out of here. Peace.
Peace.